Oh yeah, we've checked out all sorts of cool stuff in November. Like,
On November 1, we looked back with sadness on a shooting which killed 6 on the University of Iowa campus in 1991, and we stayed in Iowa City as we journeyed back to November 2, 1985, when Hayden Fry's Hawkeyes debuted the ANF, or America Needs Farmers helmet decal to show support for Iowa agriculture during the depths of the 1980s farm crisis. We journeyed west to witness the birth of the heater from Van Meter, Bob Feller, on the November 3, 1918 birth of the Baseball Hall of Famer and World Series champion. The November 4, 1962 death of Frederick Lewis Maytag II brought us new to consider the short life of the Maytag Company chairman and co-founder of Maytag Dairy Farms. The deadliest fire in the history of Des Moines, the November 5, 1978 Merle Hay Mall fire brought us to Iowa's capital city before we took a look at professional baseball player turned preacher Billy Sunday on the November 6th anniversary of his 1935 death. The namesake of Iowa State University's most iconic building, William Beardshare, gave us a chance to look at the early history of the university on his November 7, 1850 birth, and we ran for office with George Taylor of Oskaloosa, the first ever African-American listed on a presidential ballot on the date he ran for America's highest office, November 8, 1904. Floyd of Rosedale, a pig from Fort Dodge turned trophy for football games between Iowa and Minnesota, gave us a chance to look back on November 9, 1935 and a bet between the state's governors. And on November 10th, we took a ride on the Underground Railroad with anti-slavery minister and founder of Tabor, John Todd, and the anniversary of the abolitionist's 1818 birth. We caught a chill as we looked back on the November 11, 1940 Armistice Day blizzard before we headed back to Des Moines with heavy hearts to remember abducted 12-year-old Johnny Gosch on the anniversary of his November 12, 1969 birth. The tragic death of Waterloo's 5 Sullivan brothers on the USS Juneau during the Battle of Guadalcanal on November 13, 1942 made us appreciate the sacrifices made by many Iowans during World War II, and we celebrated the birth of future First Lady Mamie Dowd Eisenhower, born in Boone on November 14, 1896. We headed way back to November 15, 1872 and the death of Frenchman and early Iowa fur trader Charles Larpenteur before the November 16, 1912 death of Iowa's 12th governor William Larrabee brought us to historic Montauk in Claremont. The great tragedy of November 17, 1973, known as the Gitche-Manitou murders, brought us to extreme northwestern Iowa to take a look at the unbelievable violence which took place at one of Iowa's state parks. Iowa's state flag, originally designed by Knoxville's Dixie Cornell Gephardt, gave us a chance to head to the seat of Marion County on the anniversary of November 18, 1866 birth, where we headed just up the road to Carlisle for the birth of McCaughey septuplets on November 19, 1997. Blaze of the old Capitol on the Pentacrest in Iowa City drew our attention November 20, 2001, and the car crash death of Iowa's only sitting governor to die in office, Bill Beardsley, brought us back to Des Moines on November 21, 1954. Took a closer look at the Great Seal of Iowa and its territorial precedence on November 22, 1838, the date the General Assembly first asked to inspect one of Iowa's most important symbols. To the Seven Seas we went with Oskaloosa's Admiral Frank Friday Fletcher on the anniversary of his November 23, 1855 birth, before he looked back with great sadness on the explosion at the Keokuk Armory which killed 21 on November 24, 1965. The death of 20-year-old Army Sergeant Gregory Tull of Pocahontas took us to Operation Iraqi Freedom on November 25, 2005, and we went live on the air with R.J. McElroy's KWWL Waterloo on the November 26, 1953 date of the iconic Eastern Iowa television station's first broadcast. The dubious claims of infamous cancer quack Norman Baker of Muscatine caught our attention on the great grifter's November 27, 1882 birthday, and we looked at the life of Niall Kinnick's granddaddy and Iowa's 21st governor, George Washington Clark, on the November 28 anniversary of his 1936 death. The death of Hollywood legend Cary Grant in Davenport on November 29, 1986, as well as the November 30, 1809 death of important abolitionist Ephraim Adams of the Iowa Band of Congregationalist Missionaries helped us close out the month.
Ah, cool. Let's go check out this picture.
There's a lot of good history about Iowa a lot of people don't even know about.